Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we're taking you on an incredible journey through time. A journey that spans over 8 decades. We're talking about the epic evolution of four-wheeler Ford Jeeps, from rugged wartime machines in 1945 to the powerful, high-tech off-road beasts of 2025. Whether you're a hardcore Jeep fan or just curious about how this iconic brand transformed over the years, stay tuned because this is a story packed with innovation, adventure, and a whole lot of horsepower. Let's rewind all the way back to the 1940s. The world was engulfed in World War II, and the US military needed a new kind of vehicle. Something light, tough, and capable of traversing rough battlefields. 3 companies competed to build it, but Willys Overland won the contract with their design, the Willys MB. This original Jeep was all about function. It had a simple design, a flat hood, a slotted grille, minimal creature comforts, and 4-wheel drive. Soldiers loved it. It was light enough to be lifted by a few men, tough enough to tackle rough terrain, and simple enough to be fixed in the field with basic tools. After the war ended, thousands of soldiers wanted one of their own. And that's when Jeep realized they weren't just building a military tool, they had built a legend. In 1945, Willys launched the CJ2A, the first ever civilian Jeep. CJ stood for Civilian Jeep, and it was essentially a slightly softened version of the war hero. It still had the flat fenders and utilitarian design, but now included small changes like a side-mounted spare tire, a tailgate, and a slightly improved interior. It was marketed heavily to farmers, ranchers, and anyone who needed a tough, go-anywhere vehicle. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't fast, but it could do things no other vehicle could even dream of, and that made it an instant hit. Through the late 1940s and into the 1950s, the Jeep lineup expanded. The CJ3A came along with a stronger windshield and better seating. Then came the CJ3B, which featured a higher hood to accommodate the new Hurricane engine. Around the same time, Jeep realized there was a market for bigger vehicles too. They launched the Willys wagon, the first all-steel station wagon designed as a civilian vehicle, and soon after, the Jeep pickup. It was clear, Jeep wasn't just building one model. They were building a brand around freedom and adventure. Went from the 1950s turned into the 1960s, Jeep continued to evolve. One of the biggest milestones was the launch of the CJ5 in 1955. The CJ5 brought some much-needed comfort improvements. It had softer edges, slightly rounder body panels, and a longer wheelbase that made it more stable both on-road and off. Powered by the new F-head Hurricane engine, it was more powerful and more versatile. People began using them not just on farms or ranches, but for recreation, hunting, fishing, camping. The CJ5 planted the seeds of what we think of today as off-roading for fun. Internationally, Jeep was expanding too. Kaiser Motors had acquired Willys by this point and saw the global potential. They sold Jeeps around the world, assembling them in countries like Brazil, India, and Australia. Jeeps weren't just an American icon anymore, they were a global symbol of rugged exploration. The late 1960s also saw the arrival of something revolutionary: the Jeep Wagoneer. Launched in 1963, the Wagoneer was the world's first true SUV. It combined the ruggedness of a Jeep with the comfort of a station wagon. It had automatic transmission, independent front suspension, and even optional air conditioning. Think about that for a second. An air-conditioned 4x4 in the 1960s. It was decades ahead of its time and paved the way for the luxury SUV market we know today. By the 1970s, the Jeep brand was unstoppable. The CJ5 continued to sell strong, and in 1976, Jeep launched the CJ7. This was a major update. The CJ7 had a longer wheelbase, optional automatic transmission, and more comfortable seating. It could still climb rocks and ford streams, but it could also handle a daily commute much better than previous models. It marked Jeep's slow but steady shift from pure utility to lifestyle. The Wagoneer also got even more luxurious in the 1970s. Jeep introduced the Super Wagoneer, adding leather seats, upgraded sound systems, and wood-grain side panels. It wasn't just about getting there anymore. It was about getting there in style. As the 1980s rolled in, big changes were on the horizon. In 1987, Jeep replaced the CJ series with the all-new Wrangler YJ. Purists were shocked. It had square headlights. For some, that was almost sacrilegious. But the YJ had significant improvements. It was wider, more stable, safer, and more comfortable. Jeep was trying to broaden its appeal beyond hardcore off-roaders to suburban families and everyday drivers. And while traditionalists grumbled, the YJ sold very well. Meanwhile, Jeep launched another game-changer, the Cherokee XJ in 1984. The Cherokee was a compact SUV with a unibody design instead of the traditional body-on-frame construction. That made it lighter, more nimble, and surprisingly tough. It had real four-wheel drive capability, but was also civilized enough for everyday driving. The Cherokee exploded in popularity. It wasn't just adventurers buying them anymore. Families, commuters, and even police departments adopted the Cherokee. It was reliable, capable, and versatile, setting the blueprint for the modern SUV. The 1990s were a golden era for Jeep innovation. In 1992, they launched the Grand Cherokee ZJ. And how did they unveil it? By driving it straight through a glass wall at the Detroit Auto Show. It was a bold statement. Jeep was no longer just about ruggedness. It was about confidence, boldness, and luxury too. The Grand Cherokee offered powerful engines, plush interiors, and serious off-road chops, all in one package. It was a massive hit. Then came 1997 and the arrival of the Wrangler TJ. This was a return to form. The TJ brought back the beloved round headlights. It kept the Wrangler's classic styling, but introduced modern improvements like coil spring suspension, which made it far more comfortable on the road while still maintaining outstanding off-road capability. It was the perfect blend of old-school charm and new-school technology. Off-road enthusiasts were thrilled, and the Wrangler's fan base continued to grow. As the new millennium dawned, Jeep was ready to take bold new steps. In 2003, they launched the Wrangler Rubicon, a factory-built rock crawler. It came with front and rear locking differentials, ultra-low gearing, and beefier axles, features previously only found on heavily modified Jeeps. Suddenly, buyers could get extreme off-road capability right off the showroom floor. No upgrades necessary. The Rubicon set a new standard for what a production off-roader could be. Jeep also kept expanding its lineup. The Liberty replaced the Cherokee in 2002, aiming for a slightly softer, more city-friendly SUV, though it retained true four-wheel drive capabilities. The Grand Cherokee continued to evolve, getting bigger, more powerful, and more luxurious with each generation. Then, in 2007, came a major shift, the Wrangler JK, larger, wider, and more comfortable than any Wrangler before. The JK opened the doors to a whole new market. It was still a Wrangler through and through, with solid axles, removable doors, and a folding windshield. But it also offered amenities like power windows, navigation, and even a four-door unlimited model. For the first time, a Wrangler could easily haul a family of 5 to the beach or the mountains. Sales soared, and the JK became a cultural icon. Throughout the 2010s, Jeep doubled down on both capability and comfort. The Grand Cherokee gained luxurious summit trims and even high-performance SRT versions. Imagine a Jeep that could tear up a racetrack and climb a mountain in the same day. It sounded crazy, but Jeep made it happen. They even introduced the Grandie, Cherokee Trackhawk, with a 707 horsepower supercharged V8 from the Dodge Hellcat. It was one of the fastest SUVs in the world, yet it still retained off-road DNA. Meanwhile, Jeep celebrated its 75th anniversary in 2016 with special editions and even more off-road ready packages. They were embracing their heritage while pushing the boundaries of what a Jeep could be. In 2018, Jeep launched the Wrangler JL. Every inch of it was refined. It was lighter thanks to aluminum body panels, smarter with more tech features, and more efficient with new engines like the 2.0-liter turbocharged four-cylinder and the EcoDiesel V6. Yet it stayed true to its roots. Solid axles, removable top, and unbeatable off-road capability were all still there. Enthusiasts cheered. Jeep had done the impossible, modernizing the Wrangler without ruining it. The Gladiator pickup truck arrived soon after, based on the JL platform. It was everything fans had hoped for, a real Jeep with a truck bed, combining rugged off-road prowess with practical utility. Then came the electric revolution. In 2021, Jeep introduced the Wrangler 4Ace, a plug-in hybrid combining a turbocharged gas engine with electric motors. With instant torque and silent trail running, it brought a whole new dimension to off-roading. Jeep proved that electrification didn't mean sacrificing adventure. It could enhance it. Fast forward to 2025. Jeep is embracing a bold future. Full electric models like the Recon are leading the charge. Designed to be trail-rated and battery-powered, the Recon offers incredible torque, low-end power, and the ability to ford rivers and scale boulders without burning a drop of gasoline. It's proof that the spirit of the original Willys MB is still alive, just adapted for a new world. Jeep is also refining its flagship luxury offerings with the Grand Wagoneer, a full-size SUV dripping in luxury, but still boasting serious 4x4 capability. Advanced driver assistance features, massive touchscreens, premium audio systems, and a renewed